Get ready to talk hockey. Streaming from the Oilers Live Studio. Subscribe or follow today.
Hey, it's Michael here for another edition of Oilers Live Tuesday. I got above me there, I've got Dash to my right. I don't know, is that to my right or left on screen? I don't know. And then I got next to him, I got Mr. Dustin Nielson from Edmonton Sports Talk.com and like 20 other podcasts. We'll list them as we go. And I mean, before we start, any new podcasts coming out this week?
No teases just yet, but always working on some stuff. So yeah, over the next couple of weeks, we might be announcing some other things. Actually, tomorrow we'll be announcing something that's kind of happening with Edmonton Sports Talk. So actually, might be announcing a couple of things tomorrow with Edmonton Sports Talk. So yeah, it should be good. I have to ask you though, like, that song, your intro song, man, like that was awesome. I don't think, was that Dash on a guitar singing it, or did you guys get that done, or what was that?
That is that's the original Oilers Live song, like 7 years old, and I've had it forever. And I took it away for like a couple months, and people started asking.
People were pissed. Yeah.
It's so good. I was laughing there when it played a second time. I was like, "Oh yeah, let's go again!" Like that was great.
It seems to trigger a lot of air guitar. So
it was great. It felt like a Saturday morning cartoon or something. That's kind of like what I felt like.
Pretty much sums up the podcast.
Yeah. Welcome to the show.
We've been told that before.
Hey man, as long as you're being told something by somebody, that means people are watching or listening, right?
That's right. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, before we get into it, guys, I just want to point out, because I said I was going to do it off air. I've got to do it before we get going. Mr. Ryan Lotzberg, one of our chief writers for HeavyHockey.com, posts an article on HeavyHockey.com a day ago, and he's doing a 3-part series on Jackson's impact with the Edmonton Oilers. This one's titled Jackson's Potential Impact on the Oilers, Part 1, Player Development. You can find it at HeavyHockey.com. And he suggests that the first casualty of Jackson will be Wright, Tyler Wright. And then lo and behold, today, the Oilers part ways with Wright and hire Pracey. We're calling him, as I mentioned before, we're starting to call him the Heavy Hockey Oracle. He's been spot on a number of times, and there are times, I said before, I've called him crazy. I didn't think he'd be right. He ends up being right. So little tap of the stick to our guy Ryan Lotzberg, doing great work for HeavyHockey.com.
You basically, we were talking before, you basically said, like, it's not like he's super duper connected. He just has a really good read on things that could happen within the organization, right? Which I think is, that to me, that's even more impressive than being super connected, right? Like to actually sort of take a look at the overall big picture and go, okay, well, this change here could lead to this change here, and there's no connection with this guy. And if Ken Holland's going to be phased out, Tyler Wright's his guy. So, like, to me, that's more impressive than just firing a text to an assistant general manager and having them tell you what's going on, right? So that's that's good for him, man. That's great way to analyze it all.
Yeah,
I know. He nailed it on a couple Cassian line combinations, and perhaps I didn't think he was the only one on record that called Bouchard coming over to Edmonton in that trade, or anything that we saw anyways. So he's just like you said, like just Dusty said it really well, right? Like it goes through that mental flow chart of what's out there and what makes the most sense, and seems to really get it right a lot. So I
always love what he does. He thinks about it, puts it on on the site, and writes exactly why. He's not always right, and he's and sometimes I disagree with him, but he thinks it through 100% of the time and gives his reasoning. Anyway, if you haven't had a chance to read his stuff, you can go just to HeavyHockey.com. There is, if you go to the editorials tab, you can search by author and check out Ryan Lotzberg. It's worthy of praise. he's our guy until somebody steals him away.
I was going to say, are you worried?
Yeah,
He's gonna be taken away?
Stop. Advertisement stops right there.
Yeah.
You know what? I had
Outside of that one article, he's a horrible person.
Yeah.
You never want to work with this guy.
Yeah, this is true. We went to a independent wrestling event together and had about 2 hours of windshield time on the weekend, and just an awful person. He was not enticing to listen to or intriguing whatsoever. So I would probably leave it at that for sure. Who is a good person is Dustin Nielson. I know I've known you for a while, buddy. We've probably simultaneously done hundreds of hours of volunteer together.
There's lots of stuff that we've done together. We played rec league together, and it was funny because Marshall he's in a hockey camp right now, and I sat down beside a dad today, and we talked earlier briefly about some stuff. He used to listen to the show and stuff, and then he sat down. He goes, I used to play ball hockey against you, and I was just I instantly always apologize to anybody that I played ball hockey against or rec league against prior to having kids, because I used to be. I used to be a little bit of a loose cannon, but ever since for the last 8 years since I had Marshall, I just feel like it's not that important anymore, like ball hockey. So I've dialed it back. But anytime I meet somebody who's like, "Yeah, I used to play against you," and I was just like, "Oh, sorry, did I say something or did I do something to you?" So, but yeah, I guess that's where our ties sort of connect to. Yeah.
Well, my boy's 4, and I don't know. You could tell me what you think about my playing style when we played together, but I've had 2 minor penalties in the last 4 years.
Yeah,
so
things change, man.
Things
change. I'm a cage guy now. It's like,
yeah, me too.
I'm gonna call bullshit
changed.
Because when my daughter comes to a game, I always get kicked out. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I can't do it. The one time, I think one time it did happen, and I got kicked out, and I think that was probably the moment when I was just like, man, my kid's here. Like, he's going to act like me when he plays hockey. I got to set a better example. But he's a little bit of a gentle giant, so hopefully he doesn't follow my path of just being a greasy prick. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Surveyor Brett's listening in.
No, he's already commented here. I see. He says a fired up rec leaguer. I can confirm misconduct or 2 back in the day. So, I used to say a lot of bad things about officials, and the one time the rec league reached out to me and was like, we kind of need you to give an apology on the air. And I was just like, yeah, fine. It doesn't matter. And they're like, we'd also like you to come out and actually take a ref course and then ref a game. And I was just like, man, I don't want to ref a game. Like, the one thing I don't like is skating without a hockey stick. So you're going to give me a whistle and make me skate up and down the ice? I'm sorry. I'm going to pass on that every time.
Well,
so you didn't, did you take the course though?
No, I didn't take the course.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I didn't take a refereeing course, but I definitely skated without a stick along inside of it. This was Sakers Acres. I think I was the leading ref volunteer for 2 straight years.
You skated a lot there, man.
We probably had 80 hours together on the ice. It was a lot of fun. But
that's true.
But,
yeah.
That connection, it was important for us, right? Being a big mainstream sports media network like Heavy Hockey to give you a little small startup like Edmonton Sports Talk.
Yeah, exactly. It's really appreciate the platform. We're trying to grind out a niche, trying to grind out a niche in this market. So, but I have fun doing these things. It's so different. I've always said, Ed, as a play-by-play guy, you're kind of hosting sort of the show in the game, and then doing the morning show, a host as well. But the odd time when I'd get to be like the guy in the other chair on deadline day or doing things like this, I really like being the other guy who gets asked questions. Cause for 14 years, I would ask the question. And then for the last 3-4 years doing play-by-play for CFL and TSN, I'm kind of carrying that conversation and leading into the color guys. So I really like these types of platforms. I did that Turf District podcast a couple weeks back. That was a great time. And we've done other things like this. And I really enjoy being the guy on this side. It's just, it's cool.
Jeez, I'm not there yet. Nobody ever wants to ask me shit.
One day, man. One day.
I'm out there begging people, can I be on your podcast?
Yeah. Please, can you have me? So I also have, I know, Dash, we talked about trying to do this for a while now, but it is nice to do things at night when my kids are already sleeping. So I don't feel like I have to take away time from them. So yeah, I really appreciate invites to late night things. And this is good.
We're right there.
Yeah. Those are the type of people that listen to our podcast.
Yeah, there you go. Right, like
half asleep and
yeah.
they haven't had a coffee for about 10 hours.
They're just trying to stay awake or maybe go to sleep. Who knows? Like,
that's right.
Yeah.
After midnight for the Haligonians.
Well, the problem is like if they are like turning on like, oh, I'm gonna lay in bed, have a snooze, but then you play that intro song and everybody's just like fired right back up, right? Like, they're all excited. So yeah,
I should do it. I should do it halfway, right?
Yeah, you should do it halfway through. You're right.
Little refresher.
Yeah.
Oh man, thanks for recognizing that song. I absolutely love
cool,
that
actually.
song. I had a bit of a part in getting it done, and even now today I still do the air drums when I'm listening to it.
Yeah, no, it was great. I was loving it. I'm a fan of like, creating things and music wise, and I thought that was awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, no, it's been great.
We'll put some lyrics to it.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, let's put, maybe we need to do a full song.
Extended.
Dusty, you had when you did the songs for the radio, and like what part did you have in that? Like are you musically inclined yourself?
I have zero musical talents.
Okay,
Just a worshiping of Weird Al.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, like I played the trombone in grade 6 and 7. And in the trombone, when like they'd be like first trombone, second trombone, I was fourth trombone. Okay, so I was, and there was only 4 of us, so I was the worst trombone. But I grew up. My parents were, we grew up on a farm, right? So they were, we had listened to country music, and I remember I had my friend make me like a mixtape of Live and like Alanis. And they took it away from me. They're like, you can't listen to this garbage. So then the only way I could listen to like any sort of music that was cool, in my mind, was Weird Al. So I grew up on Weird Al parody songs, and I've always thought they were hilarious. So, once I got to, I use, these will never be tracked down, thank goodness. But when I was in Lethbridge and Fort Mac on the radio, we didn't have like a company that could produce them. So I'd write them myself and then like karaoke them in. And I'm a horrible singer. So when we moved down here and we found out that I had like a company where I could pick the song, the idea, I'd write all the lyrics, and then I'd send it down to them. They were based out of California, and they turn it around in like 3 or 4 days and send it back up. So that's where all those came from. So all those goal songs and stuff, I do all the lyrics on them, and then the other that a company would produce them and send it back, and they did. They did a great job on it. So
yeah. Well, I've heard them all. They're all pretty good. But I think challenge accepted on those Lethbridge. The forgotten Lethbridge.
Good
tapes,
luck with
right?
that, right? Did one in Fort Mac, and my boss was like, "What are we doing here?" I was like, I want to have some fun with it. So yeah, but yeah, it was a good time.
I say the challenge is we write one for Oilerslive, and then you can play it every time he breaks another story.
Yeah, there you go. Right, that would work. That would work pretty well.
There we go. Yeah, no, those are fantastic. We'll be seeing more of that at Edmonton Sports Talk.
Yeah, sure. Hoping that's the plan right now. Especially with like some of the copyright issues with other licensed music. The company that would produce these for us basically said, we could play them wherever. So. You might even hear more parody songs now with the new show. So, which is good because I wish I had the time because I'd write a parody song every night if I could. Like I've got so many ideas and different bands that we like to write something for. So, but yeah, that was a key part of our show for sure. So, that'll be something that continues. And yeah, Edmonton Sports Talk, and we're gonna launch it on September 6th, and we're gonna continue to do some videos because I even have like some of my good buddies who are like, hey, Dusty, you're going to stick with that podcast? And I'm like, listen, guys, it's not just a podcast. Everybody's like, oh, Nielson's just doing a podcast. No, I already do a lot of podcasts, but they're all going to be a part of a live network that we're basically launching on September 6th. So our show, will it be available as a podcast? Of course. Will it do really well as a podcast? We think it will. But we're going to be live every morning with our show from 6 to 9. We've got a text line, which we're going to be announcing the exact number of this week so people can start texting in, even though we're not there. So we think that'll go over really well. So I think it's a number that'll will do well in this market. I'll just leave it at that.
Boy.
And then, so yeah, we've got that going on. So we'll have all that live interaction, the YouTube chat, the text line every morning. We'll be live on YouTube. So if you're at home, you're by a computer, you can connect on your TV, you can watch the show. Or, of course, we're going to have a live audio stream. So when you get in your car, literally you push one button to get to Edmonton Sports Talk, click listen live, and you can listen live. And we're planning on having content every morning from 6 a.m. until at least 1 p.m. on that live stream. And then, after that, we're going to continue to build out more programs and things at EdmontonSportsTalk.com, where hopefully within like 6 months to a year, it is a 24/7 radio station online. So, I mean, it's 2023. Everything operates on your computer or your phone. So we figured that's the best place for sports content to be. So we're pretty excited about it.
Internet. What the fuck's the internet?
Yeah. Can you believe these guys are nuts? They're trying to do something on the internet. Like, what? I think it's going to be okay. But like the whole website, like when you go to the website, EdmontonSportsTalk.com, right now you'll see at the top, there's a couple of different listen live buttons. So the top one will say listen live. The one in the middle will say watch live. And then the entire website itself will basically be a podcast network where all the shows will come on and you can subscribe to the different podcasts and you can go to the different shows, watch the video if you want, or just subscribe to the podcast. So, I think it's funny because, in the United States, you've seen this done at a pretty significant national level. I think overall, networks in this country were hesitant to do it. And I think, even just locally here in Edmonton, we've got 1 million people here and a lot of them are dying for sports content. I think this is something that'll be very successful.
Yeah, 100% agreed. And I think, over here at Heavy Hockey, we've been doing a lot to prepare for this because we know our big listener followership there will probably go go over to Edmonton Sports Talk. We're just trying to keep them, trying to keep the
last ditch effort here.
For now, right now, we don't have a show on Tuesday nights. Right?
There you go.
So yeah, no, but look, I know, like, I'll put it out there. We've had discussions. I've had discussions with other local podcasts, and we want to provide an opportunity for other podcasts to come and be a part of this. And it's Edmonton Sports Talk this year tonight. What you guys are doing is at different levels of career from what I've done in the past, what you guys are doing now, other people who maybe haven't done anything. Yeah, that's all fine. But Edmonton Sports Talk, we're hoping will end up being a hub for all Edmonton sports podcasts and things along those lines. And and to me, I mean, it's an opportunity to promote others and not feel like there's this sort of greasy vibe of competition, right? Like, and I think that's the way to build a community. And, there's kind of 4 of us that are sort of starting Edmonton Sports Talk, but in the end, we'd love for people to feel like everybody sort of belongs and has a place there. If you want to do sports broadcasting or if you want to give it a try, like there's a lot of different things. We've got an office set up where we'll have like a podcast only studio where it's not video, but if somebody wants to start their own podcast, they can reach out and we can talk to them about it. They could come in and record it right there in our new offices and we can help them with it. Right. So it's to me, like, honestly, Canada in general, but specifically our market, the Nation guys do an awesome job. There's no doubt about it. But overall, I think like we're a little bit behind in how sports content is being consumed. So, I think this is an opportunity to take a step towards something where like 10 years from now we'll be like, well, how did we ever consume sports content any other way? Right. So, yeah.
I mean, right now, 90% of the world's radio is digital. I mean, it's just that right now. And
pretty much. I mean, it's all going to get there. Like even FM stations, are going to probably have to change the way they do business. And like I'm not overall a huge, I would be a huge podcast guy, but I don't got time. Like I'm making podcasts and then I'm doing other stuff. So I'm like, I've got like 3 or 4 podcasts that I listen to, and it's like fantasy football podcasts and like some of my other hobbies and things like that. Right. So
Star Wars,
but actually kind of one of my favorite podcasts is like Mark Bouchard and Corey Graham. They've got like this MCTV podcast.
So good, man.
And those are great dudes. I work with them for a long time. That's one of my favorite podcasts going. So, hopefully we can find a way to partner with them as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, Kirk
Yeah.
Morris there, one of our writers, says that's the future. The future's now. I mean, I drive a Tesla. I don't have an AM radio in my Tesla.
Like that's
I
the
don't,
weird.
you know?
The
Like, it
weird
just-
thing is, you're right, Dash. Like the weird thing is, like people are like, wow, like this is the future. I'm like, no, man. Like this
No,
is how
it's now.
content is consumed in 2023. That's why I said, like, I feel like the whole city and market's behind on this, and it's time to push online content right to the forefront.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus,
I
put some
actually
blue
haven't listened
paint on your
to,
face. Let's go.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
haven't listened to a radio.
Dusty's gonna go
station
full
in
Mel
over-
Gibson here.
in over a year. I bet you I haven't listened to a radio station, and I don't expect to. I don't expect to change that habit. I do subscribe to Sirius XM, but that's different. That's delivered in a different way, and a lot of it I'll stream online while I'm working as well. And I've streamed you, and it's the only way I could get to get conched in was by moving as far out east as possible. There was no way I was waking up early enough.
Yeah, you were kind of cheating though on the conch, right? Because it was like what, 9 o'clock out east. Like, come on, man.
9 o'clock.
Yeah.
In fact, I the very first day I landed in Halifax, I sent a text in to say conch me in.
Yeah, just that's just greasy. I mean, people would be like, "Don't you dare conch him! It's almost lunchtime out there." You know, like, yeah.
Yeah. He pays for it by doing this after midnight.
That's
Yeah,
right.
that's true.
right.
Yeah, it is late out there right now. Yeah. Yeah, I've been staying up to like 1 or 2 in the morning for like the last month too, and I like getting stuff done late at night. Not gonna lie.
The last month? You mean the last 10 years? You're a nap guy anyway.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So what did you have for dinner today?
Actually,
Don't air with lettuce,
Yeah,
obviously.
I had a meeting and we went to Boston Pizza. So I had Boston Pizza tonight for dinner.
Oh, nice drop.
Yeah.
Nice
There's a
drop.
Boston Pizza right by our new
Convenient.
office, and they're a sponsor of some
Convenient.
stuff. So I was just like, yeah, let's meet there. So yeah, there's a few items on their summer menu I very much enjoy. So yeah, I had it didn't go over well because I told my wife I'd be home for dinner. But then I was in this meeting with somebody and I was like, well, I can't bail. Like, we're building something here. So I had to have Boston Pizza for supper, which I'm never complaining about. So
Well done.
My daughter broke her hand recently at gymnastics. And so she's all casted up, and she figures that's her time to ask. She says, "Are we going to Boston Pizza tonight?"
yeah.
Like, yeah,
Blizzards, if
yeah,
not.
we'll go.
Hey, I just want to quickly chime in on somebody on the Twitter chat who said, please don't do a bunch of swearing and stuff on the show. And I just want to clarify, because we had this talk, me and the guys, like me and Matt and Tommy and Eric. And, I know it's a different platform, but I still know like my kids will be listening. A lot of kids will be listening. So if anybody's like, oh, they're going to get online and start dropping F-bombs and stuff like that, it's not going to be the case. Like, our show will pretty much still be the same show. And I mean, our show is different than, a show with former hockey players saying a bunch of dirty jokes and stories, right? Like, we're going to continue to do the same show. And that would involve no swearing. So if anybody was concerned about that, you don't have to be worried. You can still play it at the Bay, and if you can play something at the Bay, then you can play something anywhere.
That's what you're going with.
I don't know why I used the Bay as an example. I was going to say Zellers. And then I was like, well, Zellers is in the Bay now sometimes, right? So,
Right.
and I was in Victoria, my sister's wedding, and I went into the Bay that has like a Zellers inside it. And my sister's like, that's the one. So and I'll say it was extremely disappointing. It's like one little area where the stickers are red instead of gray. I was just like, man, you can't even get a Zellers hoodie in here right now. Like, I was a little disappointed in it.
Hey, Dash, scratch Zellers off. The people will ask for ad revenue.
Yeah. Sorry, guys, but Zellers is out.
Zellers is out.
Yeah.
We are not.
See ya.
The show will never be brought by.
Yeah.
I mean, they were just beating down our door too.
I will say this: Zellers probably advertised a lot on AM radio back in the day.
Yeah, they paved the way for guys like you.
Yeah, that's how that worked out.
I just want to say, I'm happy to hear that about the profanity, all of that. And not, I don't, I'm an adult. I don't care.
Yeah.
If it's on there or not, but sticking to your roots is kind of a big deal for me. And, when you're talking about building this community, I know listening to you and some of the guys at 1260 and how important community was to you guys. And I'll say, like, yeah, 100% genuinely believe that that's what you're going to do. I think that it's good to see that, it's not lost on you that what's made you successful, right? Like, it would be a terrible thing to change direction right now. And this is why people listen to you.
Yeah, it wouldn't make any sense because, as we launch Edmonton Sports Talk and try to build it and get people listening, and the stupidest thing that we could do is have a parent tune in with his kids, and I drop an F-bomb and we say something dirty or something, and then he's out and his kids are out because he can't listen without his kids. And that just, to be honest with you, just be shooting yourself in the foot, which makes no sense. Right?
Your whole fan base is a family, man. Like, we saw it firsthand at the Nasty Bash, right? Like,
pretty much.
How many hundreds of times have you had a text between 8:20 and 8:25 on the text line saying, "Dusty, when are you going to play goal songs? I got to drop my kids off at school." Yeah,
right?
like
a lot,
100 times, 1,000 times.
I'll be honest. Most of our marketing will be based on children wanting to listen to goal songs and forcing their parents to listen to the show. So I think that'll hopefully work out all right.
Some hypnosis.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you're listening right now, you can also find us at www.youtube.com/heavyhockey. Make sure you give us a subscription. We appreciate it. And then
Tommy put that, smash that subscribe button. Hashtag influencers.
That's right.
Let's while we have you here, because I think
HW.
probably everybody that watches our show and listens to us knows you. They're all big fans of you already. They know about Edmonton Sports Talk. They're going to watch your podcast to hear all about it. We're all excited. We're waiting for the news tomorrow. Let's talk some hockey, though.
Yes, let's
talk some Oilers. What a better place to start than what happened today. Tyler Wright's out, Pracey's in. Is this and Dusty, you can tell me if you've heard. I know you and Gazzola, you're always talking, and he seems to have some really good inside scoops on what's going on. Was this expected?
That's a great question, and we'll probably get into it tomorrow on the Oil Stream. Tommy's coming back from Calgary. He's coaching hockey school there this week, so he gets back into town tomorrow. So we'll probably bang one out tomorrow night. We hadn't heard this, like it hadn't come up on an Oil Stream at any point. But like your guy who's kind of writing about it, when you have a significant change in hockey ops, you probably shouldn't be too surprised, really, that anything sort of is coming out of the woodwork right now. And have you guys been following the reaction today? Like, I see a lot of people being like, yes, Tyler Wright's out. And I didn't know that like Wright had a bunch of haters in the biz, right? Like, because I look at it and to me, honestly, it's way too soon to love the guy or hate the guy. When did he come in 2019?
Yeah.
And, if you look at their drafts recently, obviously 23, 22, you're not expecting anybody to be playing there when you drafted 32nd overall. The 2021 draft, you might think that maybe a player or two could be in the mix there. And then 2020, Dylan Holloway's certainly going to play. And then you got some other guys who've obviously you hope are going to pan out. So it's not like their drafting record over the last 5 years has been absolutely outstanding by any stretch of the imagination. So I don't know if that's what it comes down to. I do always love, and we just saw it with the Elks as well, the mutually parting ways. So, we'll see who is more mutually willing to part ways, I guess, as this continues to develop. But, this hadn't been something that Tommy brought up on the Oil Stream, and Tommy's been pretty connected for the last couple of years with the Oilers. So maybe you could say it kind of came out of left field, but I was just a little bit over surprised by people who were like kind of celebrating it. Like we really know exactly, like, what if Petrov becomes a stud? He was drafted. I think he's just way too early to judge a director of amateur scouting on success or failures.
Didn't he draft McKinnon and a bunch of pretty good guys in Colorado?
Well, the guy they just brought in did that, right? So, but at the same time, I don't want to take anything away from people drafting high-end guys, but it's not hard to draft Nathan McKinnon or Connor McDavid. or Gabriel Landeskog and some of those guys, right? So you kind of have to judge guys on other aspects of it. So to me, it's interesting because he was a Ken Holland guy, and Ken Holland is not the big dog as he was before. So, maybe this is a Jackson call.
Yeah, and this to me is also one of those.
That's what I was going to say. I wonder if it's a Jackson thing or a Brad Holland thing.
I mean, I think it's a Jackson thing, 100%. Right, the timing couldn't be.
Yeah, it's pretty clear. Like,
couldn't be more obvious.
Yeah,
but I think for me, the way that I look at it, whether you like Tyler Wright or not, I always appreciate and respect when a guy comes in and immediately puts his stamp on an organization. And that's what he did. It shows me that he's got a plan, right? That is not just, smoke and mirrors. And this guy, obviously he knows hockey well. He's got an idea of what he wants to do. Lotsberg, talked about how he, will take a different look at player development and personnel and scouting and all of those things, and suggested that Wright would be out, and sure enough, he is out. And you do look at, if you go by Lotsy's numbers, Wright drafted 47 players. 14 of those so far have turned out. Or is that? That's Wright's thing, and it looks like about 30 of about 50% better average for Pracey as he goes in. So there's a different philosophy there, and whether or not I'm with you, Nielson. I mean, I never looked at Tyler Wright and thought, geez, that guy's got to go. Right? Like,
yeah. I don't think if somebody said, "Hey, fix the Oilers," and somebody goes, "I know Tyler Wright," but I think you make a good point, man, and that is, we all sit here and go, "Ooh, I wonder where this comes." It's clear. I mean, the CEO of hockey operations has come in, and the director of amateur scouting is out 2 weeks later, right? So, what do you want him to do? Come in here and just agree with everything that's been going on for the last little while? No, I mean, it's your job now. It's your team now. I'm with you. I respect somebody who gets put in a position to help take this program to the next level and immediately identifies, hey, we can be better in this area, and goes out and executes it. Now, will they be better in this area? To be determined, but maybe it's the beginning of other changes within that department, right? So, I would assume it is. If somebody else is going to take it over, they probably got guys in other organizations that they want to bring in as well. So, I don't think. I mean, look at the Oilers prospect pool. Now they've obviously, their top end guys have already graduated and are superstars and things like that. But the Oilers prospect pool right now is very meh. It really is. Like, you're talking about Raphael Lavoie for maybe pushing for a spot. Xavier Bourgault. I like Dylan Holloway. I think Holloway's going to be a stud. I think that was a great pick. And, hopefully he's able to stay healthy. The Broberg thing is very up in the air right now, one way or the other, however you view that. So it's not like, it's not like they've had, a bunch of great picks along the way. So I'm not going to rip them for that, but it's also not like they've built a top 15 prospect group and are overachieving in that area. Right. So, we'll see what happens next. But, when you're trying to take the next step, change doesn't hurt, even if this is a change that you won't immediately see the benefits of, right? It's not like this team's going to be better this year because this change was made, but maybe they're better early into the next contract for McDavid and Draisaitl because this change was made, right? So, yeah.
So there's a couple of good questions coming up in the chat. Kevin Starrett says, next shoe to drop, maybe pump up the analytics department. Dash, feel free to chime in on this. I mean, this is something that the Oilers have been criticized for a while now, even pre-Ken Holland.
Ever.
I mean, you guys think this is going to change and maybe in that direction?
They should. I mean, ultimately, there's a lot of teams that are doing it, and the ones that are successful seem to be winning more. Whether it translates to anything in the playoffs is probably a whole nother debate. We see the Carolinas and guys like that fizz out a lot as well. So, to be said. But I think ultimately, just like everybody always says with analytics, you need to be able to use it as a tool. to be able to create the whole equation. And if you don't have that portion of the equation, then you don't have the whole picture. So, I mean, I'd love to see it. Brad Holland's been leaning a little bit towards it in the last few years, whether Jackson pushes that way. I don't know. What do you think, Dusty?
Yeah, I mean, I know, they will always say that they have numbers that, aren't the ones that we can go track down on websites and things like that. But that's also something easy to say if you haven't invested that much in it compared to some other teams out there. So, we all know low tide has been, I mean, at some point it's almost like you hire him because he could help you, but also you shut him up for talking about it. Like they've been through that before in certain situations. So I by all accounts, Jackson is a guy who's driven that way. And I know, when he was first hired, some people were actually talking about, he thinks the game in a different way than maybe the group that's here right now. So, all of a sudden, do they announce that they've got this expanded, amazing analytical department, and do they win the Stanley Cup in 2024? Like, probably not. I honestly think they could possibly win the Stanley Cup in 2024 anyway. So, we'll see. We'll see how it works. I know they could do a better job of it, at least the way the public views it and is aware of what they're doing. But it's not like they're completely ignoring all of those things either, right? They do it at a different level than some of the other teams. And it's tough to do that in a market that is very driven by the analytical approach, right? So it's just like two bad worlds sort of colliding or two worlds colliding, and it looks bad because of the it's such a passionate analytical group in this city that it's tough to be a team that might not be among the leaders in it right now.
Yeah.
Yep. Well said.
Some stranger asked earlier, and again, I'm kind of curious what your thoughts are. Ken Holland, is this a threat to him, right? If the Oilers, potentially, aren't successful playoffs wise this season, is Ken Holland a threat now with the new CEO at the helm?
I mean, I don't even see it as a threat. I mean, this is the plan.
Just the succession plan. What do you mean threat?
This is the plan. Like the plan that we thought we'd heard for a long time was Ken Holland for another year, and then Steve Staios would take over. Now it's Jackson's already up here, and Ken Holland can. Ken's had an amazing career. I think he's done a really good job with the Oilers. Look at where they are now compared to where they were. And I know it's not perfect. He's put themselves into some tough spots with contracts and things. But when he took this team over, you're like, man, they could be a Stanley Cup contender. Well, now they are a Stanley Cup contender. So he's taken that step. And maybe a guy like Jackson can kind of find that final notch to get them there. So yeah, I think this is just the plan now. Like, so I don't view it as a threat. I view it as, hey man, here's what's happening. Hopefully we can get you one before you leave type of thing.
Yeah. When do the guys get back into town?
There's a few guys skating today. Local guys skating, like they gather together and do some of these skates for the next couple of weeks. I was actually, my kid at hockey camp today, and Derek Van Dies's nephew is in the camp. So DVD was there, and then he had to leave to go chat with some guys. Like just local guys are kind of skating again already. I'm not too sure the list of Oilers that would be there, but they'll start trickling back in here pretty soon. You get to captain skates and things like that, right? And then everybody really starts to get excited. So yeah, I'm already getting that. Is it October yet? Sort of feeling. I know it's like last year. I remember last year it was always like enough preseason already. It was just like after the shortened preseason, then you get a full preseason. You're like, man, like 5 games is enough. Kill it. 4 or 5 preseason games. Let's go. And it just drags on and on and on because that was fun in the decade of darkness when there was like 8 spots up for grabs on the team. But now you're like, here's your team. Let's play hockey. So basically just stay healthy, and preseason's a success. So yeah, I'm with you. I would like to skip through all of September and get straight to October.
Yeah. Boom. Now I know you and Gazzola, and thanks for the shout out on the oil stream. We're talking about Sam Gagner.
Yeah.
Coming in for a PTO and then potentially a role with the Oilers going forward. What's your thoughts on that? I mean, is this should we be excited as Oilers fans or nervous? I mean, there's always that group of Oilers fans that's like, nah, we don't need him back,
Yeah.
And then there's a whole bunch of people that just love Gagner at, that take him for 10 years at $8 million.
I'm a big Sam Gagner guy. Like, I think people should be excited if he is eventually having a role in this franchise moving forward, because he's one of the best dudes that I've met, and I've only met them in the dressing room. And when I first started here, I would get down to a lot of games and be in the room after and stuff. And then I just realized that overall, that doesn't bring as much to my show as a good night's rest in the morning to have the energy. So I didn't want to be in a dressing room till 11:30 at night. But back in like the first 3, 4, 5 years when I was with TSN Radio, I'd go to a lot of the games and do post game and stuff like that. And through that decade of darkness, man, when they would lose and, some of the younger guys would take off after and didn't want to do media, Sam Gagner was sitting there in his stall after every game, willing to be the voice for the team. Like, he's always been a great team guy. So to me, do you want Sam Gagner playing 82 games for you? Probably not. But do you want Sam Gagner around your team for 82 games and him giving you 35 pretty good ones in certain situations? Yeah, I think I'd probably take that. Like, basically the new Shore, where especially but guy who's probably loved more than Shore because of what he's done here in the past. So, and I think everybody kind of has this thought process of Sam Gagner comes back, and it's like last year it was rumored he was going to come back, right? And then basically they offered him a job like 3 years ago to just be in the front office, and he's going to go that way one way or the other. And considering his wife's from here, it makes sense that he would be a part of Oilers management or scouting or whatever, and player development at some point. But I just think overall people have this vision of like the Oilers winning the Stanley Cup and Sam Gagner's in an Oilers jersey getting to carry it around. So he's a good dude. He's a great team guy. And you know how we know he's a great team guy? Because he keeps getting a deal every year, right? Yeah. And it's not like he's been playing for 15 years and he's never really been fleet of foot, but he still finds a way to contribute, right? So I think people just like having him around.
It's like how Struddy and Noodles got an extra 3 years out
good
of their
dudes,
careers,
right? Like, not even good dudes.
Great dudes.
Great dudes.
Great dudes.
And I think that's an important part of a team. Like, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
I think, on a PTO, some it depends what people think we want, right? Do we want size? Do we want grit? Do we want, like, what's the missing piece in the formula? Like, we have a missing piece. We haven't won it yet. So is it character? If character's there, then Sam's your guy, right? And he's a center and he's good on the PK. And, Dusty, like you said, if you get 35 out of him or whatever, and he plays the other 40 in the bake, like, that's pretty
that's
damn
not the
good
worst
for
thing either to have him around there a little bit, or even just like I just view him as a guy who's a healthy scratch and is in the room after pumping you guys up, pumping them up, or like talking them down, or providing, as some stranger in the chat, providing a little bit of grit. Like, Sam will stand up for his teammates, and he's always been that same guy, right? So
didn't Jackson and his dad play together? Or
they're agents together. They're agents together. Like, a lot of it makes sense. Your guys got to write that article now, right? Like, you tie it all together. Like, get it the day before it happens. Plus, I mean, there's been pictures of them all summer hanging out with the Oilers. So, let's see where it goes. But I think for 30, 35 games, I think that's better than calling up somebody from the minors who probably shouldn't be in the league anyway. So,
well, and I think when I posted that, everybody looks at that and says, why Sam Gagner? And they're thinking, he's playing 82 games in an Oilers jersey, and that's not going to happen, right? Like, he's going to, he's going to play, you're right, like 30, maybe 40 tops. There's
Lane Peterson sprains his ankle.
Exactly. And there's going to be a lot of, reasons you bring him in and out of the lineup, but you're right. He's going to be, a guy that's always there in the dressing room. He may or may not go to the bake. And if he does, that's great. For the young guys coming up, like we're talking about getting some of these prospects developed. Who else do you want around them? Right.
Yeah. Well, like two years ago, he had 13 goals in Detroit. played almost every game. And last year he had 8 goals in 48 games in Winnipeg. I mean, if he could play at a 14 goal pace, I mean, not the end of the world.
Hockey IQ's gone anywhere.
No, you don't lose that. You just sometimes use the ability to get there and stuff, right? So, but yeah, like you're not asking him to come in and change the world. And I'll be honest right now. I mean, the Oilers' bottom 6 is, I think, so right now. So,
can I double down on your question, Michael? I know we're up against the clock, so we can make it as quick as you want. But what do you guys think of Noah Gregor? Speaking of another, kind of local-ish kid and potentially available, and I thought that was a guy that would have been just signed.
Kind of thought he would have been scooped up already because he skates extremely well, right?
Too.
So
and his size. Yeah. He's played all his best games in Edmonton. It feels like so.
he has had success. That's true. Yeah, that's a weird one to me. I don't know what's going on there. Right, younger-ish guy still move extremely well. There has to be nothing against Sutter, but I don't think if he's winning a job in your bottom 6, you got bottom 6 problems. You can't have a guy who hasn't played come in and win a job in your bottom 6. So the bottom 6, if they stay healthy, that's fine, but it's not what it was last year when they come down the stretch and into the playoffs. So now that's something that they can certainly add to throughout the year, right? But right now, I would think the bottom 6 is kind of a weakness for the team.
Yeah. And you look at Noah Gregor, I mean, I always question when a guy doesn't get qualified, right? Like what's the reasoning behind that, right? There's, and we'd be silly to think these GMs don't talk, right? Like they know, right? Or, there's an aside somewhere that says that Gregor guy does this or does that, and
especially my career.
Yeah, I'd be a little surprised if he has to settle for a PTO. Like I feel like there's got to be a contract there for him somewhere, but who knows? We'll see.
Who knows?
Bouchard, what's the word on him? I mean, I spit out there. I got some details on a 3.8 times 2.
Yeah.
I've kind of heard that maybe they're stuck on how that's dispersed.
3.9 times 2.
3 point. Yeah. God.
Let me jump in there and correct you again, because Saravelli was out today too and said that the Oilers I actually wrote the notes down. The Oilers are closing in. There's significant progress with Evan Bouchard, just south of the $4 million per season. This deal is substantially complete. No arbitration rights. Yeah. Just probably 2 years.
Like, to me, it's like, what can you do? You don't have cap space to do much, any more than that. Yeah.
Why isn't it done yet?
This is kind of one of those things where, I don't know why it wouldn't be done yet.
My gut on it tells me
he has to take advantage of the position he's in right now. Yeah. Like, you can't roll in late. You got to go out there and drop 70 points on the power play. Not 70 points on the power play, but 70 points for the next 2 seasons. And then all of a sudden, you're taking them to the cleaner. So, to me,
do you want your next contract to be 70 or 80 million?
I think he's set up really good right now. You take the 2 years, you get almost $8 million to play on the best power play in the history of the game. And then you get to cash in because you've been top 5 in D-men scoring for the last 2 years. So
my gut tells me, though, it's all about that disbursement, right? Like what he gets in his first year versus second year and how that qualifying offer works at the end, right? I mean, if you're the Oilers and you
that would make sense.
Him at a high amount.
Yeah. I mean, but at that point, if you're just qualifying him, you're probably in trouble anyway. Like at that point, you want to lock this guy up long term. So
fair, right? Yeah. I mean, he's he's going to benefit from this power play 100%.
Oh yeah.
And that's the big question mark. What I did see today, and it seems, and this is typical, right? Like everywhere you go, everybody's trying to figure out why Connor's not the best, or why the Oilers don't have the best players in the NHL. But I've started to see some Eastern media hop on this Pittsburgh Penguins power play like it'll be the best thing we've seen in the last 10, 15 years. And it just blows me away to think, like, we just saw the best power play of all time for a full season. And now you think that, these guys that, not to take anything away from Crosby and Malkin and Carlson, but these guys aren't, 20, 25, 26 years old anymore.
Yeah. Look here. We'll just squash this right now. Like, the Edmonton Oilers just had the best power play of all time. The Pittsburgh Penguins had power plays with prime Crosby, prime Malkin, and prime Chris Letang. I'm sorry, but I mean, they had a window to be the best power play of all time with 3 of the best offensive players in the league at the time on that power play, with probably better options around them than they do now. So will the Penguins power play be improved? Yeah, of course it will. But is it going to rival the Edmonton Oilers power play? Not a chance, because the Oilers power play is the most ridiculous cheat code in arguably the history of the game. Like, it's just it's unfair. Like,
factually,
the Oilers power play should be like when Mark McGuire and Sammy Sosa were, we get cut into other games for like their at bats during the chase. That's right. That's what Sportsnet should do when the Oilers go to the power play, because they do ridiculous things that you simply don't see anywhere else. Like, you look at somebody else's power play, like when teams would roll in and you're down the rink watching the game, the other team gets a power play and you're like, oh, it just looks like a regular power play. And then the Oilers get a power play and it looks like they're playing against a junior hockey team. Like, it's insane. So anybody who thinks the Oilers power play is going to be the best power play in the league just, I don't know, has been ignoring the NHL for the last 2 years. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Well,
that'd be the day, man. LeBron off for the 3. Hold on. We're going to cut over to the Edmonton Oilers.
Slide over to the Oilers power play. Oh, too late. They already scored. Like,
Shaq would do it. Shaq would do it.
Yeah.
Or Charles. Charles might.
Yeah, Charles probably would, which would be hilarious, actually. I'd love to see NBA on TNT cut to the Oilers power play and Charles calls it. That would be amazing.
I mean, the Oilers power play was so good that every time they got a power play, I mean, you just expected the goal.
Yeah.
Right? And I've never in my life felt that way.
It's like 3-on-3 overtime.
I mean, the year before, I kind of felt that way. But then last year, I legitimately just expected, like, how are they going to score this one?
Yeah. And look, I don't want to take anything away from anybody else, including Draisaitl. But Connor McDavid is just so ridiculous on the power play. Like, it's just, it's unbelievable to watch. Yeah, like, they're all like Nuge with that little backhand pass when he's coming down the left side, and they've got perfect net front presence guy. They've got a ridiculous one-timer. Like, any element that you want. And enough of that. You're wearing your Michael Jordan shirt. That's brutal. They've got like every weapon you want on a power play. That power play has it, which is why it was the best of all time. That's just facts.
Unbelievable power play for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Any other last minute topics there, Dash?
No. We're up against it. Let's let Dusty go and have our final say.
Yeah. So Dusty, the way we do it here, I'll say a couple words, and then I always give my guests the last word.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Right. And the reason, I came by this honestly. I found that I'd be interviewing people, and then they'd talk, and then I'd always, I was always that guy that had to say, okay, good night, like I always said the last thing. So I figured at one point, maybe a couple of years ago, I just thought, I got to stop that. And so the only way I can do that is just make it a rule. And now it's become this rule. And so when I pass it off to you for the last word tonight, you close the episode off with a good night, and that's my cue to shut things down.
All righty.
You say good night, and then we play air guitar.
That's right. And then we play air guitar. Yeah. I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. We have, the special guest, Mr. Dustin Nielson on. It was a lot of fun. Excited to hear what news comes out tomorrow for Edmonton Sports Talk, and excited to see Edmonton Sports Talk on September 6th when that gets going. Really looking forward to, all the different things that happen on the Edmonton sports scene. Should be exciting. As far as heavy hockey, make sure you check out heavyhockey.com. We talked about it. Lotsberg's writing a lot of articles. Eric Friesen, some of the guys. We've got lots of people writing stuff. And then over the next, I want to say about week and a half, we're going to be doing the Oilers dog bracket. So 19 contestants have submitted their photos, and I'm going to finish that up tonight, and you're going to be able to go and vote for each round. You're going to be able to vote for each dog, and we'll see who becomes the first Oilers dog of heavy hockey. And no,
Well, there's 2 minutes of Dusty's.
No, I was going to say I'm a huge bracket guy. You know that. I love brackets, man. Anything.
Yeah. Big bracket guy. I know that.
Yeah.
We need Maddie in here for
Merlin, the Oilers live dog is not in the bracket.
Oh, I thought you were rigging this.
Yeah, I was going to say you got to be a homer here. Vote this guy.
Unhealthy advantage.
It's pronounced Homer.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. So make sure you guys check that out. Again, go to youtube.com/heavy hockey. Give us a subscription. Follow us on Oilers Live or at Heavy Hockey Net on Twitter. And anywhere else there's social media, you can find us. Thanks again, Dusty. It was great having you. Dash, I'll pass it off to you, and then you can pass it off to Dusty then tonight.
Yeah, I won't fill this with any more of my voice, really. I just actually want to first guess out of anybody out there what the future text line might be.
Oh, yeah, do it, buddy.
It's either 29, 97, 99, or it's going to be 97, 97, 97.
Now that would be really good. That would be really good.
Is it a 6-digit text?
It's like no, those are very expensive. The 6 digits, those codes. But it's a 780 number. But you'll I think you'll like it.
780 AM nasty.
Now that would be something. But it's kind of Oilers related. And we're gonna put something out tomorrow on that. So
all right.
Okay. Well, that's all I got.
Trying to know. Luchansky's got one that you can't air on your new show.
Yeah, that won't work. I said the new show was going to be clean. So
that's right.
Certainly not happening there.
Take your stuff away there, Luchansky.
Yeah.
10-minute misconduct.
Get rid of it.
All right, Dash.
Yeah.
Go manage your own game. Yeah, no, give her Dusty.
Yeah, no, I'll just say
appreciate having you, buddy.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry I couldn't make it work sooner. We're just kind of busy. But we're excited for Edmonton Sports Talk to launch on September 6th. Live audio, live video every day from 6 to 1. Possibly beyond that. We're working on a lot of things right now. Thanks for the invite on this tonight. Hopefully we can work together on something of significance in the future. And good night, everybody.
Oilerslive.